Okay, Super Bowl 59, the matchup we've been waiting for, the Philadelphia Eagles, Kansas City Chiefs. What a bunch of great matchups. How about head coach Andy Reid against Nick Sirianni? Remember, Andy Reid is an ex-Philadelphia Eagle. Don't think for a second he wouldn't like to take the Eagles out again. Then you have Pat Mahomes, three-time world champion quarterback, going up against Jalen Hurts, who's looking for his first world championship. And both of these quarterbacks, they make a lot happen with their legs and their arm. One of the coolest behind-the-scene matchups is Philadelphia Eagles offensive line coach Jeff Stoutland. He's the mastermind behind this Eagle running game, and he's going up against the Chiefs defensive line coach Joe Cullen, a guy that I consider one of the best defensive line coaches in all of football. I can't wait to see that chess piece matchup. And then you have Harrison Butker, the #1 playoff kicker of all time in terms of accuracy. He's 6 out of 7 from 50 yards plus, and he's 36 out of 40 kicking field goals. And he's going up against Jake Elliott, a man who has really struggled kicking the ball over 50 yards. He's just 1 for 8. But in this New Orleans dome, can Elliott hit a bomb to put the Eagles in the promised land? We have the great Saquon Barkley, who needs just 30 yards rushing to break Terrell Davis's all-time single-season rushing record, going up against Chris Jones. And this Kansas City Chief defense is the #1 tackling defense in all of football. If you buy Pro Football Focus or you're interested in next-gen stats, the Chiefs are the #1 tackling defense. Two great defensive coordinators. Steve Spagnuolo of the Kansas City Chiefs, the only coordinator in NFL history to win 4 Super Bowls. Remember, he did it with the Giants as well as the Chiefs. And Vic Fangio, in his 21st year as a defensive coordinator, he's in his 2nd Super Bowl. He got there as the coordinator of the 49ers years ago. The great Travis Kelce, one of the all-time pass receiving tight ends. He's got 174 catches, #1 all-time in the playoffs, going up against 2 rookies, Cooper DeJean, the nickel corner, and Quinyon Mitchell, an unbelievable rookie corner for the Philadelphia Eagles. And it really pits the Eagle fans. These Eagle fans, I love them. Wait till you see these guys on Super Bowl Sunday against the Kansas City Chiefs. Got a lot of great matchups. Let's get into the top of mind. Okay, we got a lot of issues to cover, things that are top of mind. We have so many issues, they can't all fit on the board. You give us 2 weeks to prepare for a game here at the FFCA, you're going to get a lot of information. But Super Bowl 59, it's the Kansas City Chiefs at 15-2, playing the Philadelphia Eagles, who are 14-3 in the Super Bowl in New Orleans. Can you imagine Bourbon Street? This game features 2 outstanding head coaches. Andy Reid, over 300 career victories. Andy Reid is a former Philadelphia Eagle. So deep down, I know, in his gut, he wants to take it to the Eagles again and break their heart. But he has guts. I mean, he moved a guard to left tackle. This guy's got great imagination. He's got outstanding ability to adjust during the course of the game, and he's proved it for a long time. He'll have something for the Philadelphia Eagles, I promise you that. And Nick Sirianni, for some reason, he doesn't get the credit I think he deserves. It's his 2nd Super Bowl in 4 seasons. This team started 2-2. He made some adjustments, and they're 12-1 since, and they're back in the Super Bowl. Not many coaches have been to 2 Super Bowls in 4 years, the first 4 years. Sirianni is one of them. And make a note, this guy has the guts too. He'll go for it on any 4th down in any situation. He trusts his players. He trusts his quarterback. This game has a lot going. The Kansas City Chiefs are looking to become the first team in the Super Bowl era to three-peat and win 3 Super Bowls in a row. Curly Lambeau won 3 championships with the Packers in 1929 to 1931, before the Super Bowl era, and Vince Lombardi won 3 straight titles with the Packers from 1965 to 1967. He won the first 2 Super Bowls, but nobody has ever three-peated since this format began. The Eagles and the Chiefs played in Super Bowl 57. If you recall, a couple years ago, a great game. Kansas City won 38-35. They came from behind late in the game. Mahomes on a bad ankle, scrambled around. He threw a pass interference against Bradbury. And then the Eagles tried to let the Chiefs score to get the ball back for their offense. But McKinnon, the running back of the Chiefs, went down at the 1-yard line. Kansas City ran it down to 8 seconds, and Harrison Butker hit the game winner. Kansas City continues to find ways to win these one-score games. It's unbelievable. They've won 17 straight one-score games. No one in the history of football has ever done that. And that Super Bowl 57 is another classic example of what Andy Reid and the Chiefs are able to do. They find ways to win late, just like they did last week against the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship game. They scored a late field goal by Harrison Butker, a clutch field goal kicker. They get 2 stops on 3rd and 1 against Josh Allen. Are you kidding me? Then they get a 4th and 5 stop with a blitz. And then they rely on Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid to call the perfect play and run out the clock to win that football game. It's phenomenal. But go back to Super Bowl 57. Don't forget this. Jalen Hurts threw for 304 yards against the Chiefs, and he ran for 70 with 3 rushing touchdowns. So I know Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, and the Chiefs are leery of what Hurts can do. And now they've added Saquon Barkley. So the Eagles are going to have some ammunition as well. Both of these teams could care less about yards. I meet a lot of coaches that come through the FFCA that are bragging about all the yards they make. The Chiefs, the Eagles, they could care less. I mean, Jalen Hurts has only had 4 games this year with over 200 yards passing. You think he could care less? No. They want to win. And Pat Mahomes has had a down year statistically. He didn't even make the Pro Bowl. That even pisses me off. All they care about is finding ways to win, and that's why they're here in Super Bowl 59. Knock on a grease board if you're with me. It's wins, not yards that matter. The Chiefs have a dynasty. This is their 5th Super Bowl in 6 years. No one's ever done that. They've won 9 straight playoff games. If they win the Super Bowl, that'll be 10. That'll tie the New England Patriots for the longest playoff winning streak in history. Andy Reid, 28 playoff wins. Trails only Bill Belichick, who has 31. I think I have 5 wins. Boy, Andy Reid is kicking my ass. Andy Reid's a great coach. What a dynasty that they have had. And Pat Mahomes, you know what he does in the playoffs? He turns into Superman. That's what he does. 17-3 in the postseason. He's only lost 3 games. 2 to Tom Brady, 1 to Joe Burrow. In 20 playoff games, he has 43 touchdown passes and 8 interceptions. And he's rushed the ball for 581 yards and 7 touchdowns. This guy rips you apart in the playoffs. He loves pressure. He feels no pressure. He applies it. You like that saying? Keep an eye on Mahomes. He's looking to be the first NFL player to win 4 championships, 2 MVPs before being 30 years old. That's the kind of stuff that Bill Russell and Magic Johnson did. That's what Joe DiMaggio did, Yogi Berra. You know that? That's what, Wayne Gretzky did that. That's a phenomenal feat of winning and production, and that's what we're dealing with. Mahomes is going to go up against the number 1 pass defense in pro football. They have 10 sacks in the playoffs also, so they can rush Mahomes. They can get after you with a fierce pass rush. They've only given up a 74 quarterback rating, and these Philadelphia Eagles have taken down Jordan Love, Matthew Stafford, and Jaden Daniels. And they've done it by intercepting quarterbacks 4 times here in the postseason. I can't wait for this matchup. It is very important to remember this, though. Defensive coordinator Vic Fangio of the Eagles. He was the head coach of the Broncos. He was with the Dolphins last year. He's 0-7 all time against Pat Mahomes. I'm not saying it's all his fault, but deep down, Fangio knows it, and I guarantee you he wants to get this number 15 in the worst way to get off the snide. In those 7 games, Mahomes and Andy Reid are averaging 28 points a game against Fangio's defenses, almost 360 yards a game, and Mahomes has thrown 8 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions. Hey, last year in the playoffs, Mahomes 26 with the Chiefs. The Dolphins had 7 points. And Vic Fangio was the defensive coordinator. We all know and remember that Mahomes threw for 262 yards and a touchdown. So Mahomes has had a lot of success against Vic Fangio. That's something to keep an eye on. Saquon Barkley in this game. What a performer he has been all season for the Eagles. By the way, on Super Bowl Sunday, everybody should wish Saquon Barkley a happy 28th birthday. Can you imagine that? Waking up on Super Bowl Sunday and it's your birthday? The man needs 30 yards to break Terrell Davis's all-time rushing record if you count regular season and playoffs. When you look at Terrell Davis, back in 1998, he had 2,476 rushing yards. Right now, Saquon has 2,447. So he needs 30 yards to break the record. By the way, the last time an NFL rushing champion was part of a Super Bowl championship team was 1998 when Terrell Davis and the Denver Broncos won the Super Bowl. So karma is working in Saquon Barkley's favor. You know what SB stands for? Saquon Barkley. Super Bowl. 28th birthday. 30 yards. Last rushing champion to win a Super Bowl, 1998. I think there's a lot of good karma going on for Saquon Barkley. Last couple things. The Eagles have had 76 runs this year of over 10 yards or more. That's amazing. I remember coaching for Philadelphia. We had Ricky Watters, great back, Charlie Garner. We never came close to 76. Barkley's got 7 rushing touchdowns of over 60 yards. He's a home run hitter, man. He can cut you up with these 10-yard runs and put you away with these long hitters, man. But the Chiefs are 3rd in the NFL, allowing just 42 runs of 10 yards or more. And as I said earlier, the Chiefs are the #1 tackling defense in pro football. They make one-on-one tackles, gang tackles, and they fly to the ball. They do an outstanding job. We got to keep an eye on that. The Chief defense, we must figure this out. What's going on with their run defense in the playoffs? They were 8th in the NFL this season stopping the run. But in the playoffs, they've given up 147 yards rushing to Buffalo. They gave up 149 yards to Houston. James Cook had 88. Joe Mixon had 85. Saquon's probably looking at the tape thinking, can't wait to get to New Orleans. They got to address their run defense. The Philadelphia Eagles can doom you with time of possession. They can really run the ball and possess it. Almost 33 minutes a game. That really restricts the amount of plays Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes can run. So keep an eye on this Eagle run game. They chew up clock, and if they get into these 4th down and short situations, you got to be alert for that brotherly shove, that tush-push thing they do. Good night. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs, it's going to come down to a couple key issues. I believe 3rd down. The Eagles' 3rd down defense has struggled in the playoffs. They're giving up 44%. That's a concern because the Kansas City Chiefs were the 2nd-ranked offense in pro football converting 1st downs. They do a great job. So keep an eye on 3rd down. Conversely, the Philadelphia Eagle offense has been in the top 10 converting 3rd downs all season. And Kansas City, with defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, might not be able to get to some of these blitzes that they like to run because the Eagles, they will run the ball right down your throat in some of these key 3rd down situations. The turnover battle is the #1 statistic in terms of why these teams are here. Hell, the Chiefs missed an exchange last week. Mahomes and Pacheco put it on the floor. That was their first turnover in 9 games. They went 8 straight games without a turnover. Pat Mahomes has gone 288 straight passes, no picks. So ball security has been great, although the Chiefs have 0 takeaways in these first 2 playoff games. They have forced 5 fumbles and dropped a pick, but they haven't picked up one turnover yet. And this Philadelphia Eagle football team since week 5 has been incredible. They turned it over 7 times in the first 4 games. Nick Sirianni got their attention during a bye week, and since that time, they have taken the ball away 34 times and only given it away 7 times. That's plus 27. That's going to win you a lot of football games. That's a credit to Coach Sirianni, his staff, and these Eagles players. Special teams, we've already talked about Harrison Butker. He will kick your ass if he gets an opportunity. He's going to nail it. 36 out of 40 all-time in the playoffs, 6 out of 7 from beyond 50. Ask Buffalo. He knocked one through with 3 minutes left to put them away last week. And Jake Elliott, very talented kicker for the Eagles. He has just struggled with long-range field goals. He's 1 for 8 on 50 plus. But remember, conditions are going to be perfect to hit some bombs in Louisiana. They play indoors. So that's something you got to consider. Some key injuries we got to bring up. For Kansas City, Andy Reid walked to the podium on Monday and he said, everybody's accounted for. They really have no significant injuries going into this game. That's a credit to their training staff, man. They've done a phenomenal job. The Philadelphia Eagles do have some injuries you got to take a look at before you do anything. Jalen Hurts, we think he's healthy, but he is wearing a knee brace on that left leg. Cam Jurgens, center, did not start last week against Washington. He has a back issue. Jurgens has been telling everybody he's playing. The key guy is Landon Dickerson, their left guard, Pro Bowler, number 69. He hurt his knee against Washington, did not finish the game. I think there's a chance he could miss this game. And if he does play, he might not be healthy. So Chris Jones of the Kansas City Chiefs, he's probably listening to us right now as we talk about this. The other injury is Kenneth Gainwell, really good running back for Philly. He got a concussion. This man had a 71-yard kickoff return against the Rams. He's recovered a couple fumbles, and he's averaging 5.8 yards a carry as Saquon Barkley's backup. And lastly, keep an eye on Brandon Graham, 36-year-old pass rusher for the Eagles. He's been around forever. I used to call him Light Switch. You ever see a light switch? That's how quick he used to come off the ball. But he's had a tricep injury that's kept him out the last several weeks. There is a chance he could play. So keep an eye on that. That would give them one additional rusher. A lot of stuff going on to unpack. Decipher it any way you want. We got a great matchup. Let's get into the matchups. Okay, the Kansas City Chiefs offense going up against the number 1 ranked Philadelphia Eagle defense has everything you're looking for. Andy Reid has the 15th ranked scoring offense, and they are 22nd in the league running the ball, 14th in the league throwing the ball, and they have become full strength finally. Their receiving core healthy. Their running backs healthy. They've made some changes on their offensive line, which we'll get into. This has been an efficient offense that has won 15 games. Oddly enough, until last week against Buffalo, I think that's the first time they've scored over 30 points. They've been efficient, not turning the ball over, avoiding negative plays, but they haven't been explosive. They're 31st in the league in making explosive plays, plus 20 gains. So they're doing it the hard way, man. They got to convert on third down, convert another third down, and then score in the red zone. They've had a really difficult time making big plays. But I saw them get humming last week against Buffalo. 32 points, 5 for 9 on third down, 1 for 1 on fourth down, 4 for 6 in the red zone, and I love the ball distribution. I mean, 8 different receivers, 3 different running backs. Here goes Pacheco, there goes Kareem Hunt. Then to win the game, they throw it to Pirine for the game winner. They use everybody in this offense. But it's a quick passing game. I mean, Mahomes catches the ball, and he's throwing the ball in less than 2 seconds a lot. When you look at the Chiefs, this is an incredible statistic. 27% of all their passes this year, 27% are behind the line of scrimmage. Are you kidding me? 156 passes have been caught by Mahomes and thrown behind the line of scrimmage. That means you're running a lot of RPOs and quick screens, man. They have generated 851 yards passing on these sideways type passes, 45 first downs. So if I'm Philadelphia on defense, I got to bat these balls down and I got to rally and eliminate these yards after the catch. They have only thrown the ball 7 times in 2 playoff games over 10 yards. I'm not talking 20, I'm talking 10. So if you're interested in the vertical passing game, you might not be interested in watching Kansas City play offense at this time. They still, however, have firepower to launch it over your head. With Worthy, Hollywood Brown, they do have speed to get down the field, but they have been very, very, very conservative throwing the ball. I mean, it's coming out quick, and a lot of it has to do with the injuries and the replacement players they have on their offensive line. But Pat Mahomes, he uses a lot of quick screens. He uses a lot of shovel passes, bootlegs. Heck, he's even using sprint out passes, block screens, you name it. That ball's being caught and released in a hurry. The other thing that Mahomes is really doing a lot more of in the playoffs is scrambling. He killed Buffalo with 44 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, and he ran for 4 first downs in the first half. That's demoralizing to a defense. So it's these quick passes and these scramble plays that are really keeping the Chiefs floating. They do an excellent job during the game. The continuity that the Chiefs have had with Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes is rare in the NFL. Remember, a lot of these teams change offensive coordinators like they change shirts. They keep changing quarterbacks, changing coaches, changing systems. But in Kansas City, they got a freaking weapon here with Andy Reid and Mahomes. The battery, it allows them to make great adjustments during the game. They do an excellent job staying on schedule. They stay in optimum down and distance situations. You know, when you study Kansas City's 3rd down reel at the end of the season, they average about 3rd down and 6. A lot of these teams average about 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9. But Andy Reid stays on schedule. They average 3rd down and 6.4 yards per attempt. And when you look at Reid's play selection, it allows him to run the ball, throw another quick pass. They don't have to drop back and try and push it down there to get a first down. And it really helps their offensive line knowing that their quarterback isn't standing back there like a statue. But they've done an excellent job staying on schedule. The Philadelphia Eagle defense, led by Vic Fangio, #1 pass defense, #1 overall defense in football, 2nd in scoring, and they do an excellent job taking the ball away. Do you know that they have forced 36 turnovers this year? They've only given up 38 touchdowns. So that ability to make big plays and get the ball back for this offense has been huge. Now, they're a much more coverage-oriented defense than Kansas City. They don't blitz very much. Like 16% of the time in the playoffs, 19% of the time during the regular season. A lot of times you'll see a split safety coverage shell. And Vic Fangio, they have a lot of coverage nuances that they'll use. They're not simple. They're very sophisticated in coverage. And they trust that 4-man pass rush to get there. But it's a defense that takes great pride in not giving up big plays. Hell, the Philadelphia Eagle offense has 8 plays of 50 yards or more. The Philadelphia defense has only given up 1 explosive play of 50 yards or more. One thing I've really noticed is during the season, they rolled a lot of people through there on the front 4. I saw LaJomo playing a lot. I saw Milton Williams in there. I see a lot of different Eagles, Jalix Hunt. But during the playoffs, their best player, Jalen Carter, number 98, he's played 92% of the time. And Nolan Smith, 2nd-year man out of Georgia, very good pass rusher. He's played over 80% of the snaps. So they're asking their best players to play a lot more during these playoffs. Wouldn't you? That sounds like great coaching. I can't wait to see how Philadelphia goes after these sideways passes that Kansas City uses. A ton of RPOs, and that ball is out. But Philly does a nice job of batting down balls. And if you're interested in stats, the Philadelphia Eagles are #1 in the NFL defending passes caught at or behind the line of scrimmage. They've only given up 4.1 yards per catch on those little sideways passes. So I tell you, the Eagles have, I think, the game plan for that. Vic Fangio's experience against Mahomes, although he is 0-7, don't kid yourself. He'll try anything in this game because he has the experience to draw from and he has the horses to do it. I will say this. Last year when he was the defensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins, they came after Mahomes and Andy Reid big time. 18 times on drop back passes, he brought the house. Zero coverage, no help. Might Vic Fangio go back and look at that tape and say, hey, we had a lot of success going up against Pat Mahomes last year. He was only 7 out of 18 for 74 yards using these all-out blitzes. Maybe they'll use some of those patented Vic Fangio disguises. Hey, we're playing zone. Yeah, we're going to eliminate the big play. Ah! They come after your ass. So you got to be alert for Fangio in this game. I do know he has some blitzes he probably hasn't showed that he's getting ready for Super Bowl 59. Let's take a look at some of the key matchups. The offensive line of the Chiefs. We must point out their left side again. We did this last week. The best story on the Chiefs football team this year is left tackle Joe Thuney. He's one of the top left guards in all of football. He's the fourth different left tackle Kansas City has used this year. They tried their second-round pick from Brigham Young. He wasn't ready to go. They put in Wanya Morris. He played 11 games, had a little bit of a knee problem. They weren't happy with that. They signed DJ Humphries. He gets hurt immediately, and now it's Joe Thuney. And I'm watching Joe Thuney, a guard, playing left tackle against the Buffalo Bills. Greg Rousseau, Epinesa, Von Miller. I don't think he gave up any pressures. Now, the ball does come out quick, and they do a decent job of running the ball, but Joe Thuney, what a phenomenal job. Perhaps Andy Reid's guttiest decision and best decision all year is putting Thuney in there at left tackle. Now, when you move Thuney from left guard to left tackle, you essentially open the door for a backup player like Mike Caliendo. Caliendo has played good, not great. He's had some struggles, but surprisingly, he and Thuney have been switching stunts and playing pretty good. And they're coming off a great outing against the Buffalo Bills. Kansas City has the best center in the league, arguably, perhaps in all of football. This Creed Humphrey, I love him. Now, Cam Jurgens of the Eagles probably pissed at me, but this Creed Humphreys, he is a freaking animal, man. He can snatch a shade. He can maul you on the second level. He's good in one-on-one pass protection, and he makes a lot of calls. He's really smart, and he is rugged, man, and durable. Trey Smith, he's another Pro Bowler playing right guard. The ex-Tennessee Volunteer has really come into his own and played excellent football. And Jawan Taylor at right tackle. I know he's had some penalties. For some reason, he lines up off sides. He has some penalties that kind of irritate you. But this man is athletic as hell. He can pull. He can do a lot of things. And he can recover in pass protection. That right side is very good. But let's keep an eye on this left side, particularly left guard Mike Caliendo, because I think that's where you need to see Jalen Carter of the Philadelphia Eagles. He's been a game-wrecking defensive tackle. You think about Reggie White, Jerome Brown. Now you got to think about Jalen Carter. This is an opportunity for him to switch over here at right defensive tackle and go against left guard Mike Caliendo and make his impact felt. They've also seen the emergence of Nolan Smith, number 3. He's got 4 sacks in these 3 playoff games. Hell, he's got 4 tackles for loss, 9 tackles. This man has been all over the place, really improved as a pass rusher and a run defender. Will they put Nolan Smith over here against Joe Thuney, a converted guard? Keep an eye on that. I think Smith and Carter, their best matchups could be over here against the left side of the Chiefs. Big number 90, Davis, Jordan Davis, former first-round pick out of Georgia. He's starting to show some pass rush, and he's pretty good from gap to gap. He's a hard man to run the ball against. He's massive. You can't miss him. And they do a nice job over here with Josh Sweat, number 19. He's played a lot of football in these playoffs, and I think Sweat and Smith could use a little bit of help. Hopefully they get number 55, Brandon Graham, back, the 36-year-old pass rusher who's been nursing a triceps. They also gave Bryce Huff, number 0, the ex-New York Jet, $50 million. He hasn't made his presence felt at all. Where is Huff? And they have a young guy, number 58, Jalix Hunt. I like this guy, man. He can run. He's got a sack in the playoffs. So they have some guys they can really rotate and send after the Chiefs and perhaps give this left side some issues. The running back situation of the Chiefs, Kareem Hunt has really taken over and done a nice job in the playoffs. He forced 11 missed tackles in that game against Buffalo the other day. He gives Kansas City some wiggle. He's got 25 carries for 108 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's been the guy at closing time. Kareem Hunt is the guy they go to in short yardage. He's had a lot of production. So far, Isaiah Pacheco, since returning from that serious injury he has been ineffective. Just 10 carries for 30 yards. They had that miss exchange last week in a red zone situation against Buffalo, could have cost them. And Pirine comes in some critical passing situations. The man can pick up blitzes and catch the rock. But they use all 3 of these backs. At wide receiver, number 1, Xavier Worthy, the rookie. He has added some toughness to this Kansas City football team. When I watch him, it's not just the speed, it's his toughness. He's been in there every week. I thought he was going to be another Deshaun Jackson, just a guy they bomb down the field. But I tell you, Worthy has 10 combined touchdowns. He leads the Chiefs. They hand it to him on jet sweeps. They throw him quick passes. The guy blocks. Worthy's doing a hell of a job, and Andy Reid trusts him. He played 54 out of 66 snaps last week, and they put him in motion almost 40% of the time. I mean, this guy's got to be exhausted by the end of the game. But he's done an excellent job, and in the last 9 games, Worthy has had at least 40 yards receiving. So if you're into the overs and unders, you might want to take the over on Worthy. They're looking for him. And they use these other veteran receivers sparingly but creatively. Smith-Schuster had a couple big catches last week. He wears number 9. The ex-Pittsburgh Steeler is still a very good possession receiver, and he's hard to tackle, man. And DeAndre Hopkins, he's still wearing that HOPKINS stuff on his back. He's still very dangerous. They just haven't gone to him. But in the biggest games, in the biggest moments, that's usually when these big-time players let you know they're there. And Justin Watson, number 84, they love him in the tight red zone. He had a critical 2-point play reception last week. The man can get down the field. He's deceptively fast. And at tight end, we all know in this game that the Philadelphia Eagles got to be alert for Travis Kelce. He has 31 career catches in the Super Bowl, 2 short of the all-time record held by my guy, Jerry Rice. We know how comfortable Mahomes is with Kelce. And if you watch his touchdowns since 2018, just Kelce, just his touchdowns, 10 of them are on these scramble plays where there's just nothing there. There's nobody open. The protection isn't there. And this doggone Mahomes, he's running around and he can throw it right-handed, left-handed, or behind his back to Kelce. And you know the thing about Kelce? He's great after the catch. And he can play rugby too. I've seen him catch that ball. Whew, he'll throw it across the field. Kelce's a freaking great player. So keep an eye on him. And Noah Gray, he's got 5 receiving touchdowns. So be alert for these Kansas City Chief tight ends. A lot of times, Andy Reid gets in these funky formations. He'll put 4 guys in the backfield. Mahomes at quarterback, Kareem Hunt's a tailback, Kelce's 1 tight end, there's Noah Gray. And they're going to run counter plays with Noah Gray coming out here on the edge to block the strong safety. Kelce comes flying across here. They pull the guard and kick out the end. They pull the tackle lead up in the linebacker. They double team back to the... It's the damnedest running plays you're ever going to see. Counter plays with cross keys for the linebackers. Then they put Noah Gray over here and Kelce over here. Here's Kareem Hunt. They run a tight zone and they push it up to the play side linebacker. They swap to the inside backer. And here goes Kelsey running into the flat. And the poor linebacker, he's got to go cover him. And then somebody kicks out the end. It's this maddening run offense with these 4 back sets. 2 tight ends, Kareem Hunt, and they got Mahomes in the pistol. So it's a weird running offense that the Chiefs run. And the Philadelphia Eagles have got to do a great job. And it all starts with their defensive MVP candidate, Zach Bond. This guy is awesome. He's been in on 10 turnovers this year. He's punched out 6 fumbles. He's recovered 2 fumbles. He's intercepted 2 passes. Hell, he even had a sack last week against the Commanders. The man is all over the field, number 53, Zach Bond. Write his name down and consider him for the defensive MVP of the year. Owen Burks will be the other linebacker, number 42. He's filling in for a great player, Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean got hurt, out for the year. We hope he's doing well. He was a Gruden grinder. But Owen Burks, you know what his mission statement was? The opening kickoff against the Green Bay Packers. I mean, ever since I've seen that play, I've fallen in love with Owen Burks. The linebackers of the Philadelphia Eagles are playing their ass off. They're fun to watch. And again, I go back to the receivers. Who are the people in this Eagles secondary that are going to stop Worthy, stop Juju? Who's going to stop Hopkins and Watson? Who's going to stop Noah Gray? It's going to start with their young corner, Quinyon Mitchell, number 27. When Kansas City has the ball, be aware of number 27. He's the right corner for the Eagles. He's on the left side of the Chiefs' offense. When you watch Mitchell play last week against McLaren, the great receiver of the Washington Commanders, McLaren didn't get anything done. I mean, this guy had an interception. He is a magnet, man. This guy's got great length. He limits yardage after the catch. In 3 playoff games, there have been 15 targets at Mitchell. 3 playoff games, 15 targets. He's given up 5 catches for 24 yards. This guy's a hell of a player. Darius Big Play Slay is the other corner. They have 2 outstanding edge defenders. And their slot corner, Cooper DeJean, another rookie out of Iowa. He wears number 33. He's the one that's going to get into the mix with Kelsey. And you know, in football, you make some lineup changes. Sometimes that backfire. Sometimes they turn your level of play up. DeJean was inserted as the starting nickel in week 5. Since that game, Philly's played 82% nickel, and they've only given up 4.2 yards per play with this kid in a game. He's a great tackler. He handles their punt returns. Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. Who's drafting these players? What a hell of a job they've done in Philly, man. But it's going to be a great matchup. I will say this last thing. For the Washington Commanders last week, Zach Ertz, tight end for the Commanders, caught 11 passes for over 100 yards. The Eagles probably got to take a look at how Ertz got those catches, because I know Kelsey is excited about the opportunities. This one has a great upside. Okay, the Philadelphia Eagle offense and the Kansas City defense. We've got some great matchups on this side as well. Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator of the Eagles, being interviewed for head coaching jobs, has done an excellent job putting together a very run-heavy offense. 56% of the time, Philadelphia runs the ball. That's a lot more than anybody else in the league. They do an excellent job with an outstanding offensive line. I mean, they have the potential up front to knock your ass off. These men can really maul you, and they're very athletic, so they can finesse you with some toss plays, perimeter plays. They do a very good job with their offensive line coach, Jeff Stoutland, and head coach Nick Sirianni putting this run game together with Kellen Moore. They have the scheme, they have the players, they have perhaps the best running back I've seen in a while. Saquon Barkley, he can make you miss. He can brandish you with a stiff arm. This guy can take it to the house, man. He's got great acceleration, and he has vision. I mean, he sees it, man. And when he sees it, he's decisive. He can take it. He comes through the trash and breaks tackles. They also have a quarterback who can really neutralize the backside. I mean, when he hands the ball to Saquon, that's one thing. But the threat of him keeping it is another. So a lot of times a backside linebacker, a backside safety, a backside defensive end, they are paralyzed in their pursuit. That's what makes this running game so hard to deal with. You know what else makes this running game hard to deal with? Is they have two guys on the outside. Number 11, A.J. Brown, and number 6, the former Heisman Trophy winner, Devonta Smith. They scare the crap out of you, man. So you really want to load up on the running game and play single high coverage against these two guys? Quarterback's going to throw it over your head. Ask Washington. He did it on 4th and 5. He just looks out there and winks. Game's over, man. So they have all the ingredients to really have an outstanding running game. And it's a credit to the whole team for being unselfish. You know, sometimes when you're running it, guys want the ball, they're complaining about the ball, but I haven't heard much of that in Philly, and that's a credit to them. Hurts and Sirianni have been together a while. I think that's why these two teams have won so many games and why they're in the Super Bowl. Kansas City has Mahomes and Reed. Philadelphia has Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. 3 years on the works, 12 wins per season, playoffs every year. They know each other, they communicate well with one another, and they can make some adjustments. The short yardage offense of the Eagles is well documented. That tush-push thing they do, that brotherly shove, I call it. Did you see what happened last week against Washington? I've never seen it before in my life. I knew they were going to run it on the 1 yard line. You knew they were going to run it. Washington knew it. Everybody knew it. They ran it anyways, and Washington jumped off sides, I think, 4 straight times. And then the head white hat referee, Sean Hockley, came out and says, hey, if you do that again, it's a touchdown. Now, I've never heard that in my life. Hopefully, Kansas City has a better way of shutting that thing down than Washington did. I mean, I will say this. Kansas City last week against Buffalo, they stuffed Josh Allen 3 times on 3rd and 1. The first team I've seen in 6 years get 3 stuffs on a quarterback sneak. So that short yardage brotherly love play, that'll be interesting to see if they can get it done against the Chiefs. Jalen Hurts, I'll say it again, he doesn't get the respect that he deserves. You know why? Because it doesn't look like we're used to seeing it done. He does it with some chaos plays, running around, dipping, ducking, diving, getting first downs. There's a lot of run-oriented plays for the quarterback. He's not throwing for over 200 yards in very many games. It's just not typical of a Super Bowl quarterback. But you know what? The man wins. He's into wins and not yards. He's unselfish. He's clutch. And when he needs to make passes, a lot of his work is on the outside edge of the numbers. It's A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith against isolation coverage. And he has the receivers and the confidence in his deep ball to thrash you. They also have a very good pass receiving tight end. I want to go here. Dallas Goedert of the Philadelphia Eagles, since he returned to the lineup after that knee injury, he's been their leading receiver in the playoffs. And when he's in the game, the running game is way better. And when they run the strong side runs to the tight end, if he's the tight end, the runs are better runs. He's very important as a receiver. 3rd down, run after the catch. And he's very important to this rushing game as well. The ball security in Philly has been a winning edge for them. Hurts has gone 209 straight passes without an interception. And as I said earlier, he had some turnover problems in his first 4 games. But since those first 4 games, Hurts has combined for 33 touchdowns, 17 passing, 16 rushing, and only 3 turnovers. 33 touchdowns, 3 turnovers since week 5. That's pretty damn good. Jalen Hurts has done a lot of great things for the Eagles. Saquon Barkley, can Kansas City stop him? Will Philadelphia continue to hammer people with Barkley? The man needs 30 yards to become the all-time leading NFL single-season rusher. They do it on toss plays. When he gets on the perimeter, ask Washington, first play of the game. He is really a problem. They have athletic linemen that can get out on the edge and block corners and safeties. And Barkley has the ability to put that foot in the ground, and if he finds a crease and finds his stride, it's over. I think Philly's got to handle blitzes a lot better. That's the one disappointing thing in their film. Double A-gap blitz last week. Washington, boom, sack. They've had some problems against the Rams, against blitzes you would think they should handle better. And going up against Steve Spagnuolo of the Kansas City Chiefs, they got to do a better job anticipating pressure and knocking it out. That could be a real problem. I think the Chiefs' defense, it's all going to center around stopping the run and getting Philadelphia into some third and long situations. Easier said than done. But the Kansas City Chiefs are going to have to use some run defenders to get into third down. So look for 98 Wharton. Look for 69 Pennell. 91 Noddy. These are three defensive linemen that have to get in the game and go up against this great center, Cam Jurgens, Dickerson, and Becton, these mammoth guards, man. They got to keep these linebackers clean, and they have to limit Saquon Barkley, man, and get into some 2nd and 10s and 3rd and longs. Very important they keep an eye on Jalen Hurts. Hurts, not only as a designed runner with the ball, it's these scramble plays. If you blitz him and don't contain him, he makes one guy miss and he kills people with his legs as much as he does with his arm. So contain, keeping Hurts in the pocket, making some one-on-one tackles in space is going to be the winning edge. We all know defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, he loves aggressive blitzes, and he has a blitz for just about every situation. He also does a great job with bluff looks. He'll show aggressive pressure, and then they'll bluff out of there and play multiple coverages. They have a 3-down package, 3-down linemen. They mug both guards with 6 defensive backs, sometimes 7. They use the double A. They have a jam front, backer jam, overload blitzes, double corner cats. Spagnuolo does a great job. And when you're in a 2-minute drill at the end of the half or the end of the game, that's when you got to really concentrate on this information. Because you think, good, it's a timeout, 2-minute drill. Oh, we took a timeout. We got time to get to a great play. Better be careful, because Spagnuolo's getting his defense in a great play. See what he did on 4th and 5 against Josh Allen? He blitzed his best coverage guy, Trent McDuffie. I mean, he'll hammer you. You see what he did to Joe Burrow earlier this season, late in the game? Kapow! How about last year against the 49ers at crunch time during a timeout? He gets everybody on the same page. He says, hey, you guys remember that blitz we've been working on since training camp? No one's ever seen it. Let's show it to the world. This guy's got something for you. You better be ready for him. Very multiple with his fronts and coverages. He even lets his defense audible. Trust me. You'll see Hurts see the blitz. He'll audible. And then the Chiefs will audible out of the blitz. Boy, that used to piss me off when he did that to me. This guy's a hell of a coach now. 4 Super Bowls, championships he's already won. Steve Spagnuolo, he's 20-4 in the playoffs, and he's got a great coaching staff working with him. They have 2 premier players on this defense. Chris Jones, he's a defensive tackle, all pro, but he's also a defensive end. He's the only guy in the NFL that has 25 pressures or more from the inside and the outside. He's a pain in the ass, man. Number 95, and he's really improved as a run defender. And Trent McDuffie, the man I just spoke of, he used to play the nickel corner. Now he's playing outside about 85% of the time. He's a hell of a player, man. So him against A.J. Brown or him against Devontae Smith, I can't wait to see that. That'll be a great matchup. The Kansas City Chiefs, as much as they blitz, as good at tacklers as they are, as great as they are in the 4th quarter, they're going to have to put their big boy pads on in this game. That's why I want to go back. Guys that are off the radar, 69, Mike Pennell. You'll see him against Mekhi Becton. I can't wait to see it. 98, Wharton. 91, Noddy. These are 3 obscure Chief players that got to stuff the run. They got to stuff it. Look at these matchups. The O-line of the Eagles, Jordan Mailata at left tackle. Outstanding left tackle. 85% of the time, they don't even help him. They just say, hey, block that guy one-on-one. And he's done a hell of a job all year. At right tackle, they got Lane Johnson, Pro Bowl right tackle. I think the best right tackle in the game. You know how you give up a quick pressure sometimes? You get beat real quick? This guy's had 423 pass sets. He's only been beat quick twice. I mean, this guy's a hell of a pass protector, man. So if I'm Chris Jones, I'm probably not going to go over on these two tackles very much. I'm going to go in here at left guard where Dickerson is, because Dickerson's hurt. He got hurt in that game, hurt his knee. And he is a hell of a player when he's healthy. But if he's not in there, they're going to play Tyler Steen, a backup guard from Alabama. And I got to see Chris Jones over here. And Cam Jurgens is hurting. He hurt that back. So I expect Chris Jones to do a lot of his work inside against Dickerson, who's probably beat up, or Dickerson's backup, a beat-up Cam Jurgens, who's a hell of a center, by the way. And then you got Mekhi Becton, who's been one of the big stories for the Philadelphia Eagles. The ex-New York Jet, massive right guard, man. Some of his second-level blocks, good Lord, they are freaking awesome, man. But I expect Jones to go in here and work the big three inside of the Eagles. And off the edge, Kansas City has seen George Karlaftis really come alive. He had 5 sacks in his first 12 games, but Karlaftis has 6 in his last 6 games. He can rush from the outside. He also can go inside over the guard. This guy has great versatility and high energy. He gets a lot of second effort production. They also welcome the return of number 90, Charles Omenihu. We had him in the Senior Bowl. And Omenihu is another versatile rusher that can rush left side, right side, or on the inside. And when you team him with 51 Mike Dana, that gives you 4 very good rushers. But they don't get the rush if they don't stop the run. And I think Philadelphia is going to be very content with making this a very boring Super Bowl. Bam! Bam! You got to get off blocks, make tackles, or you got no chance to stop this running game. The linebacking core of the Chiefs, these are outstanding linebackers, every down linebackers. 23 Tranquil, 32 Bolton. They've done it all year. They can play against the pass. They're very good against the run. They're excellent in space, and they can recover, man. If they start this way and you fool them on a counter, they can recover with the best of them. And Leo Chenal, make a note of 54 Chenal. He's the most sure tackling linebacker in all of football. This guy never misses a tackle. Does he miss a tackle? Please point that out to me so I can see it. I mean, this guy's a hell of a player. Problem is, he really only plays in their base defense. He's a guy I would love to have on my team. On the edge, we all know that A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are dangerous. And we all know Trent McDuffie, star corner, can only cover one of them. Who's going to cover the other receiver? Look for number 35, Jalen Watson. I said it last week. When I was studying Watson earlier this season, he looked like a star in the making. Remember, they lost Snead. He went to the Tennessee Titans last year, and everybody said, oh, who's going to replace him? I said, damn, who is that guy, 35? But he missed about 12 games. He came back. He played 40 snaps against Houston, played last week against Buffalo. This is the week. If you have McDuffie over here with A.J. Brown and 35 Watson with Devonta Smith, I love those two matchups. But keep an eye on the nickel corner of the Chiefs. And ask yourself, who is number 27? Connor from Virginia Tech. Who is this man? He leads the Chiefs in tackles in the postseason. And he's the guy that's going to draw Dallas Goedert in some key situations. And don't forget Goedert. That is Jalen Hurts' security blanket on third down. They love going to him on third down, and they love throwing him quick screens against blitzes. So it'll be Connor, number 27, against Goedert. That'll be huge. And then Mr. Barkley. Remember Saquon Barkley, the initials, SB, Super Bowl, 28 years old on Super Bowl Sunday. Needs just 30 yards to be number 1 all time. Man, who's going to stop him? How are they going to get him the ball if you're Philadelphia? And what do you do when we fake it to him and all you guys are biting the cheese? There could be some chunk play opportunities. This is going to be a great matchup. But keep an eye on these wideouts against these corners. because when it's isolation one-on-one, there's going to be some 50-50 balls and pass interference. I can't wait to see how they call this game. Are they going to let them play, or are they going to try to be, flag happy? I hope they let them play. We're going to tell you who we think wins the game. I just got to get a drink of some fluid. Well, you got to pick somebody, and as an ex-Philadelphia Eagle myself, and having worked with the great Ron Jaworski, I love the Eagles. But it's in New Orleans, and they threw a lot of interceptions. They lost to the Raiders. I'm going with the Chiefs, 27-23. They find a way to win again late.